All right, so what happens once we have received comments from all the reviewers and we are ready to have our meeting? So during the actual meeting, depending on your standard operating procedures, you will either meet physically or you meet online. When you meet, you go through the agenda, one application after the other on first come, first served basis. This can change depending on your standard operating procedures. It could also be either you are giving priority to specific types of applications. It's really up to you. But the most important thing is when you meet, you have to go through the agenda. In this case, the agenda relates to these 5 applications that we added in our meeting. So what we'll do is we will go through one application after the other. So we go through this first application here. So we have our first application. We go to the reviews. The chair will invite the reviewers assigned to this particular application to submit their comments. So one reviewer after the other will submit a summary of their comments, and the comments are also available here. Okay, so you can see the comments by the individual reviewers. You can toggle through the different reviewers and be able to see what each of these reviewers have said. But then once that is done, a final decision has to be made. This final decision by the board could be either you have approved the application as is, or the application needs minor adjustments, or it has to go through major adjustments, or it has been rejected altogether. Okay, so you come to the final decision, and once you are here, you set the final decision based on the consensus agreed upon by the committee. So as I said, it could be not approved at all, in which case that becomes final. It could also be major revisions recommended, in which case this particular applicant will have to resubmit this application afresh, and that application will have to go through the review process from the first step all the way to the end. It could also be you would need the applicant to revise the application, maybe work on certain edits before a final decision is made, and that would be what we call conditional approval. So if it is conditional approval, as I said, that the conditional approval requires that you send the recommendations back to the applicant, and the applicant will then have to submit those reviews or the reviewed application afresh, and then a final decision can be made either administratively or by sharing the same to the reviewers. If that is the case, then that has to be sent through the application query, which we have already seen. So when you click minor revisions, the application query is activated, and then you can be able to share that through either attaching a letter or describing what amendments needs to be done. But it could also be the final decision is approved as is without any amendments, in which case you click and then you take to the next level where the comments from the various reviewers will be auto-populated here, okay? And you can decide whether to add them or not, okay? Then you go to the next where comments to the applicant as designated by the reviewer will again automatically be populated here, and again you can decide whether to add them or not. And then finally the final decision, which is in this case you'll have set as approved, and then you set the final decision. And as soon as you do that, you have a copy of the final decision certificate for your storage, and the same has been sent to the applicant.